I'm Pooja Kulkarni, PGP FAD student, and I take great pleasure in inviting none other than Ms Falguni Nayar, founder and CEO of the beauty and lifestyle retail company Nykaa, an epitome of success who inspires us to believe in the power of our dreams and achieve it by dedication and hard work. I'm elated to have you all know that ma'am is here today to support IIMA by setting up a dedicated research chair in consumer technology. I welcome you, ma'am. I'd also like to extend my wholehearted welcome to Professor Saral Mukherjee, Dean, Alumni and External Relations at IIM Ahmedabad, whose work in operations management and operations strategy is impeccable. I welcome you, sir. I request Professor Mukherjee to introduce our esteemed guest of the day. Sir, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's with great pleasure that we are welcoming Falguni back on campus. She is PGP 8385, and there is nothing better joy than have alumni come back to the campus and give back to the institute. So from our side at IIMA, we are very happy to have her on campus. Her introduction. Falguni Nayar founded Nykaa in 2012 with the vision of building a multi-brand, omni-channel, beauty-focused retail business. Within a span of 9 years, Falguni has built India's leading beauty and lifestyle-focused consumer technology platform. Under her leadership, Nykaa has expanded its product categories by introducing online platforms, Nykaa Fashion, Nykaa Man, and Superstore. Before founding Nykaa, Falguni spent nearly 2 decades as one of India's leading investment bankers with Kotak Mahindra Group. During that time, Falguni guided founders of several Indian companies through roadshows in Europe and the US, and they made their way to stock market debuts. Last year, she expertly led her own to a stellar debut on the stock exchange after Nykaa's IPO received an overwhelming response, having been subscribed 82 times. Falguni is the recipient of prominent awards and accolades for the crucial role she plays in transforming India's lifestyle, retail and consumer technology sectors. Earlier this year, she was awarded the EY Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 2022. She also represented India at the EY World Entrepreneur of the Year Award in June 2022. Forbes India recognized Falguni in the world's 100 most powerful women for the 3rd year in a row in 2021, and she was featured in the prestigious list of the Bloomberg 50 last year. Today, a little while ago, Falguni just signed the MOU for setting up a chair on consumer technology, and the kind of opportunity space that we have in consumer technology is just breathtaking. And we are very happy that research, teaching, and work in that domain of consumer technology would get a fillip from the chair that she has set up. So thank you, Falguni, for coming down to the campus.
Thank
you. Indeed, sir. She's an inspiration. Thank you so much. I would now like to request Ms. Chavi Mudgal, PGP 2004 alumna, who is an accomplished CEO of the IIMA Endowment Fund, which has facilitated the setting up of this chair by Nykaa. Prior to this, she has had an extensive career in investment banking. She is joined by Hemant Kumar, PGP student and coordinator of SARC IIMA. I invite you both to begin the fireside chat with ma'am that we all have been eagerly waiting for. Ma'am, please.
Thank you so much, Pooja. You touched upon my investment banking background, but I think not many of you will know that I actually started my journey at Kotak pretty much under Falguni many years ago. And it was really about learning from the best. So Falguni, we know you had a prolific career in investment banking, but then you pivoted to entrepreneurship. What made you do that?
So I think I've said before, and you guys must have read online, because everything's available online, that I saw a lot of entrepreneurs build businesses businesses, and over the course of my long career as an investment banker, I saw many of those businesses, they got built out, they succeeded, and they served real consumer needs in the country. And I was quite inspired to follow a similar journey and experience an early stage value creation through building a business that pursued an idea that was not ready for its time. I think in the early days of many of the businesses that were being built, like I remember Ronnie Screwvala used to say that he's building a Disney-like studio, and everyone used to laugh that in India, Disney-like studio, or when PVR was building multiplexes, and everybody would say, who will pay more than 100 rupees to watch a movie in India? And I think a lot of international investors were skeptical about India and also these businesses. I mean, similar thing, whether it was, a port, like Adani building a port in Kanda. I think there was a lot of skepticism, and over the years I saw many of those companies and brands got built out. So I wanted to experience a similar journey of creating from scratch. So as I started looking around the ideas, I saw that beauty was a very big business in the West and also in the East, whether it was Korea or Japan or Western markets, the ground floor of big department store, always filled with beauty products, fashion products. And in India, we never had any similar experiences. Even organized retail had not really got built out in India due to problems, as well as problems of space and rent, and even beauty consumption was abysmal. The formats in which it was sold was not right. I believe that beauty needed education. Consumer education was not being given in those stores, and the industry had not taken off, and all of the international brands were leaving the country. And the year I entered, I remember Lancome leaving the country, and many other brands like Vichy, La Roche-Posay all leaving the country. So I believe that you can change all that and create a market in India for beauty, and that's what inspired me to start Entrepreneurship and leave what everybody considers as great investment banking job.
Yeah, and thank you for making beauty so accessible to some of us, particularly as a woman consumer. But why the brand Nykaa? This question came up earlier, but I think the students would also love to know. How did you come about the brand name Nykaa?
So I think obviously this institute means a lot to me. I envy all of you guys. I mean, today if I'm told don't go back and just stay back here, I would anytime. So I think the institute and all my time here was so special to me. I would urge all of you to enjoy every minute and learn every minute. And I think one of the first thing, of course, is we've done CSR so far, but as time came for meaningful CSR, I just wanted to do something at IIMA Endowment Fund, because I believe that who I am today is because of all my learnings at IIMA Endowment Fund. And I really would like to pay tribute to each of the professors who taught us so much. I think Professor Mukherjee and all of you, Mukherjee, I think you all add so much value to the students through these. When I heard you these great operation management and stuff like that, I think I'm going to attend that class. So I think my advice, and I'm sorry to jump to advice, but because I believe so strongly, the question is something else, and I'm giving a different answer. Because my advice is take every class seriously, learn basically every aspect of management. I think all of it is very useful. In fact, in my early career, I did mostly finance and a little bit of marketing. But now, as an entrepreneur, I'm using every aspect: be it HR, be it operations, be it marketing, finance, legal, compliance, you name it, and we are using all of it. And I think that is the true learning at an institute like this. And you must take away a very holistic learning, which will stand you for years to come. And I'm just so excited today to be able to institute this chair here, because it is about consumer technology, which I believe in. I think it's going to be a decade for consumer technology and consumer technology companies and brands, and Indian consumers are going to really have great experience using this consumer technology and brands. So I think I'm really excited about what we are starting off today. I think to answer your question about word Nykaa, I think the whole thought came to me because in fact, just by way of facts, not such a healthy fact, but we were 9 girls in a class of 150, so some of the other girls who are my friends even now, one of them was so-called marketing expert and I was so-called finance expert. So when I wanted to start the website, the only name that came to my mind was Khoobsurat, and I said this didn't sound, if I may call it, sexy enough, and I said I should think of a better name. So my friend, who is also my batchmate from IIM, and she's she was part of my study group, so all of you will relate to that also. So we were like very thick because study group, you're always with them. My husband was also part of my study group, so yes, our study group. So I think in that sense, I told her, and she said, no, you can't think of words like Khubsurat, let us brainstorm. So again, we had a brainstorming session, just like I am style. And at the end of it, we came to this word Nykaa, actress, and we said the name, the brand name needs to be meaningful. And we thought about the meaning, and I only came up with the meaning saying, yes, to me, an actress is someone, the spotlight of her life is on her. And that became our message to women, that let the spotlight of your life be on you. For too long, women have always not even, they've not even dared to dream because they're too afraid to spoil the peace at home. And I think all of you will relate to, maybe not for yourself, but definitely for your mothers. And for too long, women have given up their dreams to just be that pillar, pillar in their homes. And I said, no, I think time has come for women to want to have the spotlight on themselves. So our brand name was also our message to women, that let the spotlight of your life be on you. And we really loved the name. We morphed it. I think my friend told me that Lakme was a morph of Lakshmi, and when you morph a name, then you kind of own the brand keyword. So we decided to do that. So that's why it's written as NYKAA. But I'm so glad because I think the name truly allowed our customers to relate to us and to what we are as a brand.
Thank you, Falguni, for that perspective. And by the way, investment banking days, she was always 3 steps ahead, and she's already answered the next 3 questions I had in terms of what basically, as students you should take away as an entrepreneur, etc. But a little bit more, Falguni, because you started this venture after decades of experience. I think on the other side, we have young students today who might look to enter entrepreneurship. Do you think the journeys are very different? What are the specific lessons which they can do, and how is it different really from more experienced entrepreneurs?
No, I think entrepreneurship. When I started entrepreneurship, it was not really about entrepreneurship, but it was about starting a business and building something from scratch. Was the kind of description I used to give. But more recently, when I got the entrepreneurship award at Ernst & Young, and they made it into a big thing, and I met a lot of entrepreneurs from other countries as part of my world entrepreneur immersion. And I think what I realized that entrepreneurship is a trade, and basically the trade is about really wanting to solve some consumer or real world problems and being very passionate about solving those, and really in many ways working very, very hard. But that's just the only minor thing, but fighting the world, if I may call it. It's almost like that, to really see your business to fruition. And I say fighting the world because there were entrepreneurs I met at that immersion who were from Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan, and in a country like India, we don't even realize the amount of adversity there is sometimes against entrepreneurs to do what they want. So I think it's a real passion to want to solve a consumer need or a problem that you see, and to make a difference to the consumer and to the society. And I think that is what entrepreneurship is about. So what that means is that if you're passionate about that at an early age, it's great. You have a lifetime ahead of you. People like me had only some years ahead of me. So I think when you do it when you're young, it's great. But my advice to young entrepreneurs will be that don't think you know it all. And please be open. I think a good entrepreneur is also a good listener. And they are always listening to ideas and thoughts and synthesizing them. And they may finally choose to do different things than what they hear. They may go by their gut and their conviction and what they believe in. So that's not the issue, but it should be carefully weighed option. I think what happens with more experienced career, and when you arrive at entrepreneurship towards the late stage of your life, you've probably been there, seen that, and as a result, you're a little bit more measured in the decisions you take, and that obviously allows you to be more measured and sustainable compared to the early enthusiasm of young entrepreneurs who are very keen to do things, but sometimes they don't think through all the long-term impact. And that's where if they have mentors, they talk to mentors, and of course mentors have to give time to be really able to add value. So you're lucky if you have a good mentor. So have a mentor, talk to them, talk to more than one people, be open to learning from them, and then success will be yours.
Wonderful. And what a success story Nykaa has been. I'm repeating myself. I said this at the MOU launch, I said this in front of the media, but we all saw the blockbuster IPO that Nykaa had last year. What do you attribute this rapid pace of success to? Any factors which contributed? How much are you investing in technology?
Yeah, I think we embrace technology, and I think I often joke about it that I thought I was an experienced business leader, but maybe I knew finance, I knew legal, maybe I knew compliance, but I definitely didn't know beauty, I didn't know retail, I didn't know technology, and I jumped in. So that tells you that yes, one doesn't have to have, even today we recruit a lot of people who don't really exactly know the job, but they're smart people, passionate people, and we think they learn the job. So I think that what I personally feel is that very often, you know, it's not about it's not about, you don't need to know everything, but I think the path comes to you, and the most important thing in life is to be sincere and want to move forward. I don't think Nykaa was built with any end objective in mind. I didn't really have an objective of reaching a certain turnover or a market cap, let alone at all. I used to always just say that one is to build a sustainable business, and having been a consultant and then an analyst, stock market broker, as well as studying at a prestigious institute like IIMA, I was very clear that unit economics of the business matter, and how much the business needs to be built in a sustainable way, which means that you need to make profit to be long-term sustainable. And I never understood businesses that are built just for sake of market cap, or just for sake of they lose so much money to acquire customers, and there is no accountability on what are they doing with so much of customer acquisition, and is this the right business model to build. So I think what changed was that I think the Nykaa way of doing business, which Nykaa had always followed for the last 7, 8, 10 years, I think became the way of life. So as our way of building businesses, which were very prudent and very limited capital, because all of you understand, we all learn that return on capital employed matters. So I don't understand why companies spend billions of dollars to really do very little turnover and not any profit. So how will they achieve return on capital employed? So I think I just applied all the basic principles of finance and said you have to keep the capital low, you have to make the unit economics work, and you have to build the right business that is sustainable. That became the way of life today in today's investment world, and suddenly Nykaa seems like a great place, great company, great stock to own, and great place to be. So it just happened like that. But we were just building a simple, sustainable business that was consumer centric, and consumer loved it. The brand was great, brand really stands for something. And today's millennial consumers are very particular that the brand needs to be authentic, transparent, say and do what they mean. They don't, I mean, gone are the days where you can say one thing and do another thing. So I think we are a company that is exactly the way we talk or we sound on social media. So I think consumers saw that authenticity, and as a result, Nykaa became that much loved brand.
Falguni, there's so much, as you said, authenticity and conviction and clarity which you have in terms of your business building. But you know, just for the younger students out here, were there moments of fear or failure, and how did you deal with that, if at all?
So personally, when I examine myself, I do feel that I'm an adventurer, and I don't see the risk of jumping into an adventure. So I'm not a good example to go by. You please understand who you are. But I can definitely say that I mean, I really don't think about risks. It does. I mean, if I'm wanting to move ahead with certain business, the thought that it may not work out doesn't occur to me. I don't make plan B. So I think maybe that's not the right thing to do. I'm not risk management. I'm not giving you advice. That's who I am. But I think as far as in my opinion, the advice to everybody would be that please do remember that entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride. There will be highs, there will be lots of lows. The kind of lows we had, I'm telling you, like my daughter, who's my co-founder, she's in business with me, she would burst into tears and cry and feel down, and I'd be like, I can take it in my stride. So I think we've been through ups and downs of poor execution, customers complaining, feeling, oh my God, what's going to happen? You know, I've gone public with all some CXOs quitting, and you know, life seeming very difficult at work. But for me, I think I look at data a lot. The data tells me things. I know how a business is at the underlying health, and I feel optimistic about doing more. And even if something is not right, I feel that, oh, we can change it. We know, we've understood what it is and we can change it. So I think we are motivated by positive movement and success rather than fear of failure. But I think for others, all I can say is it's a roller coaster ride. Do remember there'll be highs and lows. Don't get overly confident of the highs. Don't get too dejected of the lows. Take it in your stride. See it as something that you can persevere. And with your hard work, dedication, passion, you can overcome.
Fantastic. And Falguni is clearly the all-in strategy when it comes to poker, right?
But I don't play poker.
Oh, you should. Falguni, I think you'll be amazing at it.
I know that,
People
but I
will
don't
be
play.
intimidated to be on the same table with you. But one other question that students had come up with on the business side was really, investments in metaverse and NFTs. And obviously lots of brands have done that, and there are now virtual stores and whatnot. Any thoughts on Nykaa's sort of expansion in this area?
Yeah, I think it's a great, beauty and fashion is at the forefront of experiences, and the consumers expect us to give them great experiences. And I think in future, both NFTs is something that we could use, definitely in areas of fashion and many others. And also similarly on the metaverse, I think there is clearly going to be future experiential events which it makes total sense for us to do it using metaverse and universe. So yeah, I don't think there is this or that. I think the real world, the real experiences, the physical stores, all of that will also be there. But metaverse and all of that is also an experience that consumers can, sitting in diverse geographies, can come together. I mean, today the class doesn't have to be with a makeup artist that can physically be present in Ahmedabad. It can be with the best makeup artist in the world, and we can be in a virtual world where we are learning from him. So I think like Zoom and like Google Meet and all of them had a really useful purpose. I think there is going to be definitely a role to play with these technologies.
Terrific. Hemant, I'll now hand over to you.
Hi, ma'am. So, if we look back at India a few decades ago, there was lesser representation of women in leadership roles and startup space. So, what were the difficulties that you faced when you started Nykaa as a women leader? And what suggestions do you have for women leaders of today?
So I think that I've gone again public saying that there is really no glass ceiling for women, and I do believe that the world is not trying to keep them down. I think they need to be confident in their minds that they can do something, and they want to do it for themselves. And a lot of support has to come from their homes and their families, who has to believe in them and support them. And I think if that support they can get, then I think the rest of the world is not such a big inhibitor, in my mind. Having said that, I'm very acutely aware about women sharing, more share of work at home, whether it is bringing up kids or others and stuff like that. And my advice to women in those situations is that learn to juggle. I think if you make work the last priority every time, that's not right. But if you obviously cannot make your family also the last priority, and if you learn to juggle and devote time to work when most needed and devote time to family when most needed, and within that try to balance everything, it is possible. And of course, I don't want to say that some people have special situations and in that case they may not be able to do it, but for most people it should be possible to commit to work. And I think it will be worth it. Worth it is all I can say for sure. Because I feel women hold half the sky, so why should women representation everywhere not be 50%? So I don't feel great when it improves from 5 to 20 or 30%. And that's the kind of conversation that goes on everywhere. I wish that stops someday and women are equally represented everywhere. And I really feel excited when men in our office really try to learn about beauty. We have meetings where 3 men go and they're swatching lipsticks and have a new CEO of beauty business. And the previous one was a woman and now it's a man. And he truly immersed himself by asking makeup artists to do makeup on him, because he says he wanted to know what it feels like to have a mascara on the whole day, or does it feel like to have something on the whole day. So I was very happy. I think he definitely ticks the box in my books.
So, thank you, ma'am. So, we spoke about how special IIMA is for you. So, you're from 1985 batch, which is almost 30 years old. 83, right? 85. So,
Don't count how many years.
so what was your experience back then? How was your term one?
And she alluded to this, but they were also very famous campus couples. So, Falguni, please share some.
Is that where you guys want to go? Then don't say you didn't get to have good advice. I think, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed campus. I think, like I said, we were 9 girls in a class of 150, so we have plenty of choice. I think girls so I think that was the good part. I think in terms of, I think some interesting anecdotes, because there's no right or wrong. But I love the library. I used to study in the library. So did my husband. Used to like studying in the library. That's where we used to spend a lot of evenings in the library. I also, some of the other things, like all the standard things, you know, I used to love going for a walk around the Tira, and it's the same old things about, you know, I don't know whether those things are same, but eating Maggi noodles in the pantry and going for omelette sandwich outside, and basically, yeah, it was fun. It was really nice. We had lots of friends. You know, I mean, everybody, like, it was a very equal world. You know, really, I had very different friends from, like, for me, I was a Gujarati Bombay girl, and coming to campus was a eye-opener to meet so many people from different communities. You know, it was really nice to meet everyone. I discovered friends from Delhi. I discovered friends from all parts of the, of the country. I think it's great. I really think that what I learned about, you know, another dream I have is to actually do a finishing school kind, in the sense where girls can come after 12th grade from poor economic strata. They all can come to an institute for just 6 months, where most of the learning happens, and they would come from all parts of the country, and they would just come for 6 months where some simple courses can be taught. But main objective is for them to meet girls from other part of the country and know that they're not that different and we are all very similar. And I think that inclusive mindset, where all of us learn to understand and embrace other communities within the country, and this happens when people go abroad also to study. I think for tomorrow's world, that is in a sense of success, where people need to come out of, you know, their surroundings, which are maybe sometimes, you know, people from poorer communities don't get a chance of experiencing surroundings beyond their immediate communities. So trying to bring them together, which students like us have, you know, we are fortunate to get that experience. And I think the learning from that alone is very good. So if everyone's not chasing an MBA, they can at least get that experience, is what I feel.
Any professors, courses, or any anecdotes or memories around that? What did you enjoy the most when you were learning at IIMA?
No, I think, yeah, so the most feared professor was Professor Mote. He was famous about throwing chalk at the students if they went wrong with something or they were sleeping in the class. I think he also kind of intimidated everyone, and he also once almost I got intimidated because I was a strong math student. So there was one big probability question, and I had actually written the whole equation on. He asked me, he called upon me. Girls were always called upon because we were only 3 in a class, so we had to always be prepared. So anyway, so I wrote the whole equation, and my equation was correct, but when I keyed it into the calculator, I had some previous memory in the calculator, so my answer came, it was a probability question, and my answer came more than 1. So he saw that the answer was correct, my equation was correct, so he said, tell me what's in your calculator. And I had heard that if I give a wrong answer, like probability more than 1, he'll lie down on the floor and touch my feet. To such a student. So I used to give him the answer, and he kept getting angry at me that, why can't you tell me what's in your calculator? no, I can't, and so it was a very intimidating session. But he was a fabulous professor. We learned a lot from him. We had some very good professors, even in finance and a lot of courses, MSN, many courses we had. Professor marketing courses were great with Professor Ravi Bhandari, I think, the first year, and then many other professors. Abhinandan Jain, I met him last time when I was here. Yeah, we really had fun. I think our professors really cared so much. I think one of the girls was weak at math, and he called her for individual tuition every day to make her pass her grades. So yeah, really nice, fun times. But campus is always full of experiences that just don't go away from your memories, how many years pass.
So make the most of it.
Yes.
Professor Jem wanted to come actually and see you this time. Just a little bit now, talking about the MOU which has been signed and this given technologies in the chair. What are you hoping the students get out of that?
I think, like I said, every function is very important in business, and I think consumer technology has a role to play. Of course, it's part of the entire, I wouldn't like to call it only about marketing, but it's the entire funnel of understanding the consumer need, to translating in a cost-efficient manner to be able to service that need. And technology has a big role to play in whether it is influencing, whether it is predicting, whether it is measuring, whether it is, whether it is the choices also will come through digital interaction. So I think it's a very immersive experience, and earlier today when I heard many of the professors recognize that and speak about that, I feel very excited that it's a whole field of knowledge and education, including analytics, including marketing, digital marketing, and a whole host of stuff like that will come into play and allow each of the students and also professors to make sure that that body of knowledge is passed on as well as it's furthered in terms of its learnings and getting some of the best practices from the world and also from India. Today India is at the leading, when I go to abroad to meet companies, biggest companies like Estee Lauder and L'Oreal, I hear that our technology platform is stronger than anything they say in the world. And we don't realize that, whether it is food apps or any of the e-commerce apps. Today, Indian technology platforms are stronger than what you see in the world. And I think India is in the forefront of technology. I don't know about China. I can't read Chinese language, so I can't understand those apps. But I can definitely say vis-a-vis many of the Western countries, our apps are in a very strong place.
Thank you, Falguni, and again on behalf of the Institute and the Endowment, so grateful for Nykaa for setting up this chair. We're really looking forward to it.
Thank you. It's an honor to me and my company Nykaa, and we're really excited. My colleagues are here. Shalini, I would like to give her a shout out. She's our Chief Marketing Officer, and she's going to be quite involved with this project. So she's here today, and so is Shikha. So I'm happy that they're all here.
That was amazing. So now the floor is open for questions. We have about 10 minutes. So go ahead and ask your questions. Please raise your hand.
Hello. Hello ma'am. I wanted to learn a little about Nykaa's international expansion. So is Nykaa planning to take on global players and promoting Indian brands internationally? And if yes, what are your thoughts on breaking the stereotypes attached to Indian brands?
So yes, but I would say baby steps. I think we are beginning with trying to take our brands into Middle East and maybe in London, UK. I think trying to take Indian brands in the global space is a huge dream, and I would like to see that translate to a reality. I think many of the international companies also believe in that. Like we are very close to Estee Lauder and L'Oreal as a group, and they think the future brands are going to come out of India. And there is a lot of work going on in India, which is very unique. It has started now because before Nykaa, there was no platform to sell these products. So brands could not come up, and now that Nykaa platform is so strong and so large, brands are just popping up every day, and so many brands are being discovered and using ingredients that are very often inspired by India. So I think there is a clear belief that the future brands will come out of India. Nykaa clearly wants to play a role, but I always say baby steps at a time, and it will be a long time before we can see Nykaa brands flying the flag in the world. But we'll definitely work towards it.
Hello ma'am, it was great listening to you today. So I have a question with respect to people management. So when you're starting your business, the systems aren't established, so motivating people, retaining them in the business quite become a challenge. So do you want to share any suggestions or anecdotes which people can take away as of like how if we are starting a business, then how to make sure that your employees are motivated enough to work with the same passion as you are working? Yeah.
I think initially, honestly, when I recruited first as a startup, I really, I used to joke that the trespassers will be, employed. So it was a big joke. But anyway, what I did was that I did recruit anyone who was passionate about Nykaa and also what Nykaa had, a task that Nykaa had at hand. And it was that task that motivated them rather than trying to see all the problems that we have. Sometimes my daughter jokes about it that our early office was very tiny and it had mushrooms growing in the bathroom. So if I had someone who would every day criticize what's going on and say that what kind of employment agreement we are signing, it's not perfect. Nothing was perfect. So I think when you join a startup, there is a certain type of employees who are ready for startup. They also believe that they learn a lot because there's no one role. Definitions are not narrow, they're quite wide and they learn a lot on the job. And it is that kind of employee who really fits in. So I think it was easy to motivate such employees. They just were ready to do whatever. It was a joke. We had only a 15-member team, and whether somebody was in marketing, brand management, whatever, when we got a lot of customer complaint, everyone was just answering the customer calls. So you have to be prepared to do everything.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for such a wonderful session. I wanted to know what are your thoughts on the ongoing startup funding winter that we are talking about in media, and what would you, as a business founder, you must have seen a lot of these situations, or what are your thoughts to the current people who want to start business or are running and looking for funding?
I think what has happened is that there are a lot of businesses that are struggling to get further endorsement of their business model, and hence those are not getting the valuation that they wanted, and those valuations are coming down. And as a result, the new relative valuation benchmarks are being set. And as a result, unless someone's idea is very strong and they're ready to accept a low valuation, I think it looks like there's a mismanagement of valuation expectation by the startup entrepreneurs and also what investors are ready to give. I think typically one can continue to build a business with a very low budget at such times. Putting like sometimes, I've heard of people putting in family resources and stuff like that, because they believe in the business. If you believe in the business, continue, and things change. I think in Nykaa's early journey also, I think we didn't want to raise money then, but we started business in 2012, till 2013, Flipkart has not been able to raise the second round. And then of course, everything changes, and then again there are 1 or 2 years. I mean, markets are always cyclical. There'll be a couple of years where it's hard to find the money, but that doesn't mean you don't grow your business. You prudently continue to move forward with whatever resources you can garner, and I think time will come when you will be able to raise money.
Hello ma'am. Hello ma'am. So it's a very noble thought with which you started Nykaa to put the spotlight on women. And I remember 6-7 years ago, even though I came from a tier 1 city, my cousins in tier 2 and tier 3 cities knew about Nykaa before I did, because the products reached them. Even if their city did not even have a beauty store per se, these products will reach them. So I have my question is, did you face any issues by setting up, because there are no department stores in some of these places, but Nykaa will reach there. So what was the plan originally to go to tier 3 cities, and what was the issue in Nykaa?
That's a power of digital business which can reach the length and breadth of the country. And we can get the order from anywhere in the country, and we started servicing more and more pin codes. And as we started servicing more pin codes, we realized that the demand was coming from there. So yeah, I think it's a very inclusive, digital world is a very inclusive world which reaches especially those markets which are underserved by the traditional retail, and that is the power of today's digital businesses. Especially businesses like Nykaa, which are not geographically constrained. Like sometimes the grocery business and certain food businesses are geographically constrained, but not a very. Nykaa is more of an national business, and in fact, some of the other brands like fashion can also be a global business.
for congratulations for all your achievements. So my question here is that in IIMA we always talk about networking. So I want to know that how networking has played a role in your career.
So yeah, I think networking is important. I don't mean networking in a negative way, but knowing other people knowing you, also you communicating what you're doing, if you're an entrepreneur, communicating what you're doing to the world, to others, is all very important part. And I think sometimes I felt during my mid-career that women actually pay sometimes a little bit less importance to networking, and they don't want to build those bridges with other people in the business, and they don't give enough priority to that, and I think it's important. It's not the only thing, but it's an important ingredient.
We'll take one last question.
So, there's like a lot of different opinions around how, say, a marketplace sells other brands, but also eventually creates their own private labels or their own brands and sells product under that. That at times will compete with the brands that exist in the marketplace. So I just wanted to understand your opinion as to how one can build a marketplace and do this responsibly.
Yeah, so I think it's been made into a very big debate, especially because there were a lot of white labels. But white labels have been very common in retail, where actually the retail costs are so high that only selling third-party products doesn't allow you to build a good retail business, and hence the white label has been a reality. I think if you do it in an honest and authentic way, where you tell the customer that these are brands, so we say these are brands from House of Nykaa. We also always say that e-commerce is an open book. Anything we do, our brand partners can see it. So we always say we are a retailer first, and while we have an ambition to build brands, they need to stand on their own legs, and they need to be built with that. There's a lot of talk about, oh, you have data and you can copy. It's not such a big deal. I think the data is available in such a manner that like we sell hundreds of thousands of SKUs on our website, and all in just very, very small decreasing orders. So it's not there's only one clear winner and you should just offer that, and I don't think brands are built like that. So I think if there's just what you call sensitivity to that subject, but done right and done with ethics, that's fine. So we also say to our brands the same thing, that we don't allow a Maybelline customer to be taken by an Acme. So we say the war will be fought on category pages and not on brand page. Once the customer goes to the brand page, there needs to be a safe environment only, because it's a relationship between the customer and the brand, and all wars need to be fought on the category pages or the home page. Yes, sorry.
Good evening, ma'am. I just wanted to know your thoughts on the general notion is that if you are a generalist, you can strive better as an entrepreneur. But if you are a specialist, do you think that can affect your journey as an entrepreneur? And if you are a specialist, how to go about being an entrepreneur?
I think if you're a specialist, you can take co-founders to kind of complement the skills that you have. Like if you are strong at technology, you can take a partner who's stronger at marketing or finance, or the other way around. So I think you can always, if you think you're a specialist, you can always form a team that then complements more holistic skill sets. Last question.
Hi, I'm a huge fan, first of all. So I would like to ask about how things are going to move ahead with the Nykaa luxury stores. Now with Sephora also, Reliance trying to get hold of licensing rights of Sephora. So, like, do you consider Sephora to be, like a close competitor? Like, how is that strategy going to be next phase?
I think this competition question is nowadays asked a lot. But if you look at it, like in 2012 when Nykaa entered the business, Myntra, Flipkart were already selling beauty. In 2013, Amazon entered selling beauty. Shop to Stop was always there. Sephora was always there, again with 8 to 9 stores. They've grown about 9 to now 13 stores by now. They've changed ownership 3 times, now it's the 4th time. I personally feel that, my philosophy is that, if you focus on your consumer and you focus on servicing your consumer need, and you really don't benchmark saying, okay, this is what the industry standard is and this is all I'll give, but you actually take the industry ahead and you meet the customer needs beyond expectation of the consumer or even beyond the industry standards, then you have a different equation with your customers and they will stay with you. And if that is the relationship you enjoy, then you don't need to look left or right to see which competitor is walking by your side. You can just walk your journey ahead, focused on that consumer. So I keep telling my team, and we believe that that is the only way to build businesses. And see, competition in business is a reality. But you look at Asian Paints, we are inspired by brands like Asian Paints or even Pidilite, which are so many brands which have really served the consumer in such a way that their execution is far ahead of everyone else, and then the competition doesn't really matter.
That was one enriching interactive session. Now I request Anurag Chaudhary sir, Head of Alumni Relations at IIMA, to extend the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Thank you, Falguni, for being here today and being on campus so soon again. And I'm sure all this discussion has done is whet the appetite of people over here for a lot more from you. And I'm sure we'll be having you back again soon. Just to refer back to some of the things that you mentioned earlier, I mean, one of the most important things that I took away was the Nykaa way, right? And January and February of 2022 looks a lot different from what it looks now. And the entire startup scene that you referred to about the funding winter and people running after the valuations, and it was all about how much funding, how much funds you have raised, and what is the next, getting a runway of 6 months, a runway of 1 year, and how much cash you are burning and all that stuff. But Nykaa way sort of puts all of that in perspective, because unit economics is a really important part of it. I mean, that's part of the core of the whole thing. And once you take take care of the fundamentals, then sort of all the other things fall into place. But in addition to that, I mean, of course, those are all the stuff that you would focus on in terms of the business part of it and the entrepreneurship part of it. But I'm also sure a lot of these students over here took a lot from you, from the personal part of it, the kind of attributes that you bring to the table, the way you just oppose both sides of it, like being a specialist and then transitioning into being an entrepreneur, and how that is possible, how it is really very possible for women to actually have both. I mean, if you juggle it, then you actually can have both, and that is a practical way forward, which is what she has actually demonstrated. Actually, it's not just a theoretical concept, but it's something that she has already demonstrated. So I think there's a lot that all of us have taken from that, and I'm very, very happy and thankful to Falguni that she could come over again, and I'm sure we'll have you a lot more times on campus and hear a lot more from you. So thank you again on behalf of the entire IIMA Institute and community. Thank you.
Just one second. I also wanted to acknowledge that we have members from Ahmedabad Alumni Association who are here. We have CFO, CEO of IIMA who are here. We have some members who are running centers who are here. Beyond, of course, the student community. We will see more students with PGPX overseas, some PGP and classes. So next time it has to be a fuller house. But thank you so much everyone for joining this as well. Thank you.
I'd now like to request Professor Mukherjee, Chavi ma'am, and Chaudhary sir to felicitate Ms Falguni Nayar with the memento. Thank you everyone for joining us today and making this event a grand success. I hope you all had an enlightening experience that you will cherish for times to come. Thank you one and all.